Networking without fragmentations, we already seen the fragmentation two types, that is transparent and non-transparent fragmentation. So whatever it is, they are going to add some kind of overhead. Of course the header is something to be repeated everywhere, right? So if we can do this in the networking without fragmentation, things will be much easier and simpler, right? So that is the thing. Like Kent and Mughal in 1987 argued that the fragmentation is detrimental to performance because, as well as a header overheads, it's that's one thing. A whole packet is lost. Another issue is like on the way, if a whole packet will be lost if any one of the fragments are lost. So that is another issue. And because the fragmentation is more of a burden for the host than was originally realized. So initially people thought something, but later on as the network started more divergent and heterogeneous, so it becomes a burden for the host. So three things were highlighted: the header size and overhead because of it, and whole packet is lost if a particular fragment is lost. And another one, so the fragments were choosing different paths, so chances are high for a particular fragment to lose, so entire thing you have to retransmit again. And of course the burden on the individual routers, particularly in a non-transparent fragmentation is what we are doing right now. And that case, intermediate routers are free, but the host, the sender as well as the receiver side, mainly the receiver side, the burden is somewhat more. So this leads us back to the original solution of getting rid of fragmentation. So this is what we started our discussion with, right? Then we said like it is not going to be a practical thing. So that is the way people started thinking at the initial point. But later on they started thinking, why don't we try in that way, so that all these difficulties we could handle, right? Now yes, that is a point. So that is what is the current scenario. So the strategy used in the modern internet is what? Getting rid of the fragmentation, the simplest one. So the process is called the path maximum transmission unit, the Mughal, and so this is something, the same thing. Somewhat we discussed already also. This is highlighted, the concept put forward by Mughal and Deering in 1990 after this thought by Kent and Mughal. So it works as follows: each IP packet is sent with its header bits set to indicate that no fragmentation is allowed to be performed. So what is this header bit means? Is what we are thinking is about this particular field. See, this do not fragment field, right? So this particular bits, if you set it, what does it mean? I don't want to fragment my packet at all. So the sender is going to generate certain packets, maybe some kind of experimental packets with do not fragment field to be set to 1, and on the way means a particular packet is reaching at a particular router and it is seeing like do not fragment, and it is forced to fragment, and that time what it will do, it will stop at that point and it will be replying back with an error message, particularly an ICMP error message, and from that error message it will learn what is the maximum transmission unit of that particular path. Right, let's continue. So what I was trying to show you is this header bits, and the role of this header bits. So particularly if you look at IP packet, this header bits nothing but that do not fragment bits, right? So to indicate that no fragmentation is allowed to be performed. So like that the sender can send packets. So what will happen, a router receives on the way, a particular router will receive a packet which is of 2 large. It definitely generates an error because it tries to fragment, but what the sender is saying like by making do not fragment is equal to 1, the sender is saying like don't fragment my packet at all. So what the router will do, it can't do anything, right? So it will simply generate an error message. This is again particularly when we will discuss ICMP messages, we will see what error it is. It is destination unreachable error. A special ICMP error will be reported back, and that returns to the source and drops the packet at that particular router. So this is not the actual packet actually. So to understand the path maximum transition unit, this during that setup procedure, some special packets were sent by the sender like this. So this is a kind of trick. So now the source receives the error packet, that destination unreachable error packet. It uses the information inside. Mostly that information will be containing the maximum transmission unit of that particular network also. For example, the maximum transition unit is some 500 byte. Like that, it will be informing back with the error, because error means it has to be clear for the source what causes the error, right? So it will say clearly like the on the way there is a network with maximum transition unit of 500 bytes, and this packet is of large size, I can't handle it further, right? So now using this information, the source will refragment the packet. So now the source understand that on the way there is a particular router which can handle a maximum packet size of 500 byte only. Now the source will refragment the packet into pieces that are small enough for the router to handle, and it will send again. Now this 500 byte itself, it will travel, but on the way there could be another network which for which the maximum transition unit could be some 300 byte, and again this kind of an error will generate at that point. Say so this is also some 2-3 rounds you have to repeat to understand the full path information till the packet reaches the destination. So like that you will repeat and accordingly you can divide the packets further. So everything will be done, that fragmentation part will be now done at the sender side itself, and nicely it is sending, and there is no reassembly needed at all, because sender is aware of the fact, and accordingly that minimum size only the sender is sending, and that is what is received by the receiver, and it will give to the higher layer. So that reassembly is something we completely eliminated with this approach. So if a router further down the path have a even smaller MDU, the process is repeated, right? So this is how we are doing. So initially we send a packet with the first thing is the do not fragment is equal to 1. So like that this packet will be communicated, and on the way this network maximum transmission unit is found to be some 1200 bytes, so it can't handle, right? So it will be communicating an ICMB error message, that is destination unreachable message, with this MTU like this. So try with this, that is indirectly saying. So the source will now send the packet with of size this 1200, but see on the way there is another network with maximum transition unit to be 900 byte, and this will generate another error, right? Try with this. So again the source will send accordingly, and this will reach the destination, and that is where we will stop. So this is the process, and this is done with the help of the ICMB message, and this is a special utility made out of it, right? You can depend on it. So this is the current scenario. So what are all the advantages and disadvantages of this method? Advantage of path maximum transition unit discovery is that the source now knows what length packet to be sent, accordingly the source can send it. You don't have to make the packet size large and worries accordingly. So if the routes and paths maximum transition unit change, it may change, right, on the way due to different topology change and other reasons. So new error packets will come accordingly, maybe some retransition could be triggered, so will be triggered, and the source will adapt to the new path anyways. However, the fragmentation is still needed between the source and the destination. So even though intermediate nodes fragmentation is not needed, but between source and destination it will happen at the source, but reassembly is not needed at all. So unless the higher layers learn the path MTU. So this fragmentation again you can reduce. So that is how the research is going. So still some kind of fragmentation is needed, and right, but if the higher layer, that is what is higher to network layer, the transport layer, if the transport layer itself knows the fact and accordingly it is sending a smaller size packet, then IP is completely free from this procedure. So like that people are working. Actually if we are using TCP and IP together, so we have a certain procedure by this TCP is so wise enough that it will understand what is a path maximum transition unit in its own way, with some other kind of handshaking kind of communication, and with that it will give to IP only what the IP can handle. So there is no need of fragmentation even at the source side, and it is fully free, and the IP network is not needed to worry about fragmentation and reassembly at all if you are using TCP above it. So that is something, if time allows we will discuss how TCP is doing so. So that is the latest trend. So they are typically implemented together to be able to pass this sort of information. Even if this is not done for other protocol, but this kind of an benefit we have only with the combination of TCP and IP. But if you look at any other network layer protocol, something like this is not there. But still, you take any network layer protocol, the fragmentation is now moved from the network into the host. On the way there is no fragmentation at all in the current scenario, whatever be the network. because that is something unwanted. You can do it at the source side itself. So like that they moved, but source side itself, if you want to reduce fragmentation, you have to go for the TCP/IP combination. So that is the best thing we have. Now, if you look at the disadvantage of this path maximum transition unit discovery, is that there may be added startup delay, right? Of course, some 2-3 communication you have to do. More than one round trip delay may be needed to probe the path and find the maximum transition unit before any data is to be delivered. So such startup delays will be there, right? So that is a problem, of course, but it's far better than the method that we already discussed so far. Now this is if you gone through your operating system course well, you could remember like that I thought of comparing with that what is that, the deadlock handling, that Banger's algorithm, everything you are studying in detail, right? But what is a similar solution that is used by most of the operating system, even though that many techniques you are studying, okay, they are of theoretical interest, and of course that is a way people evolved, but at the right point, the best sort of way of dealing with the deadlock is like that some kind of ostrich algorithm, simply ignore the problem, right? So that is something maybe that Silberschatz at the beginning they discussed, but that is actually the practical way of dealing with the deadlock, something like that. Even though you have a bigger procedure for fragmentation and reassembly that you are supposed to learn to understand the concept well, but when it comes to practicality, yeah, we just want things to be as simple as possible. So that is the way people are thinking, and of course, right? Yeah, so that is how this technique, this that could be the reason we end up at like this, even though we started with some big procedures and all. Yeah, hope it is clear. So that about the fragmentation part, particularly how this IP is doing this fragmentation. Hope it is clear for you. And also we saw something in the when we discussed that IPv4 protocol also. Yes, thanks for watching.